Hey there, Riverica here, reporting for duty on a trigger. Thank you so much for shuffling states of emergency into adoption spirit magic with me and steering clear of danger. Heartily, we are grateful. In this session, we are exploring what Mars in Cancer, sextiling the North Node in Taurus at 5 and 4 degrees, has to tell us about how to move forward, minding our business in the highest love and light. But before that, some disclaimers. I am not a doctor, lawyer, therapist. I'm a fortune teller. So what I offer is no substitute for their services. Furthermore, what I share does not determine your future. Only your intentions and actions do. So please use your gifts of discernment before deciding what to gather and take away. And of course, take only what resonates and blow like a kiss the rest to the universe for cosmic composting back into beauty. This reading is intended for fun and games, for shits and giggles, for entertainment, for flexing our heart, mind, body, soul, spirit, emotions, and intuition. And at the least, I hope to cause harm to none. And at the most, I hope I may assist you on your healing path. All that being said, let me introduce our helpers. I have lit candles for Source, Mother Earth, Father Sky, the neighbors, the passers-by, even those working against our spiritual progression. Also, harmony, unity, and balance, our ancestors here in the highest love and light, Archangel Azrael, and those who have crossed over to Father Sky by suicide, and the family and friends they left behind on Mother Earth. And also the war-torn families, nations, countries, worlds, galaxies, universes, and we thank Source for helping us all adopt success, transmuting these violent cycles into love. Heartily, we are grateful. We also have my mini crystal ball, my wooden wand, and my wooden dagger wand to help us cut to the heart of the matter without harming a soul. And we have the tuning fork to help clear our space. And this is, pardon me, things are rolling away. This tuning fork is 528C, and since we are all different psychosocial science experiments, I invite you to explore on your own what that means for you. But off the top of my head, I would say 528 helps with the Anahata chakra, your heart chakra, and that C as well. But also I'm being called to share that C helps with our Muladhara chakra, our root chakra. And so that may help you move through these times that we are discussing in this session in the highest love and light, minding your business. And I rolled the wooden dice and the number 6 came up. And the number 6 is all about service and differentiating between light and dark and the choices we make between these. And that 6 also helps us defend against those times when people are so grief-struck by loss, they're possessed by grief. And they lash out at us violently. And the number 6 helps us maintain our integrity by maintaining our boundaries. So, for example, those people who are possessed by grief, we're able to stay out of their way so we don't get pulled into that violence cycle, so we don't end up possibly mirroring the madness on top of getting attacked. And that number 6 also helps us release repetitive patterns that have kept us bound, and it helps us embrace more joyful ways of life. So that is super sweet. And you can use that number 6 perhaps to help you play through the loss and trauma that pops up this month or during this time period that we're talking about, which is the 2nd or 3rd of April through about the 7th of April. That's when Mars in Cancer sextiles the North Node in Taurus from 5 degrees to 4 degrees around then. But of course, quadruple check me and see for yourself so you can be sure, right? Don't let me tell you what to do. That would be tyranny. But you might be interested in checking out for yourself. And We also have the moss agate. It's a crystal that may help us through this time. And this is a beautiful healer's stone off the top of my head, but of course check 4 or 5 or 6, 7, 27 different sources for yourself to see what resonates with you about this moss agate and how it may help you on your healing journey, help you play through the loss and trauma that pops up, new or old. Such a beautiful, beautiful crystal. I love it. So as I mentioned, I rolled the number 6, and that chose the Living Altar, an oracle and spell deck for the Radical Witch by Kiki Robinson and Ilva Droma Marzana Radzuski. And you can find out more at thelivingaltar.com. I'll leave notes in the description about that. And you may also hang out with Kiki and Ilva on Instagram, or you may check out their podcast, Altars Up Witches. You may also enjoy listening to the Romanistan podcast, the Halloween episodes, where Paulina Verminski, the creator of the Romanistan podcast, and her co-host Jessica Reedy invited Kiki and Ilva over to share spooky stories. And Kiki and Ilva shared spooky stories about how this deck of cards was made. So you may enjoy that. And oh, what's more, even more fun this month, the LA Times is releasing a new podcast called Foretold, I think next week. And one of the first sessions features Paulina Verminski, the creator of the Romanistan podcast. So that is something you may enjoy. It may help you move through these times in the highest love and light, minding your business. So I enjoyed sharing that with you. So let us clear the space before we dive into this reading to see what Mars and Gemini sextiling the North Node in Taurus at 5 degrees and 4 degrees has to share with us about moving forward, minding our business in the highest love and light. Let's clear the space. And I invite you to hold the intention of seeing only love, and only love we shall see. Thank you so much. And here we go. Mind, body, speech, in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. Om. Peace. Shanti. Thank you. I love it. It's still ringing. These tuning forks are so cool. All right. Let's see what we need to know that may help us move forward, minding our business in the highest love and light during this time, around the 3rd through the 7th of April. Yes, I realize it's the 4th today that I'm recording this. So mind the gap. You are a whole, full, powerful, loving, spiritual being, and so am I. And we thank your source, spirit team, angels, galaxy guides, ancestors, saints, sages, gods, goddesses, universes here in the highest light, as well as mine. And we thank your source and my source for shifting the situations into what they need to be, and for necessary insights, healings, acts of grace, protection. Heartily, we are grateful. And so it was, and so it was, and so it was, and so it was. Thank you so much. Heartily, we are grateful. I'm so excited to share this deck with you. This is one of the only Romani decks in circulation that I am aware of right now, and so it's super thrilling. Oh, Promise is hopping out. So let's take it. We're taking it. Promise. I love it. So I'm going to let you vibe on that card. See the beautiful colors. There's some red thread. This reminds me of the chakra wheel, but also the Romani flag that has a chakra wheel in the middle of it. So if you're unfamiliar with that, that may be fun to research over the next couple days as we move through these energies. And these, they look like eggs to me right now. But the other day, this card came up in the April readings, and it was making me think of the number 0 and everything and nothing. And all that the number 0 represents. Oh, and these flowers are popping out at me. And these petals, I'm interpreting them at petals, but I really appreciate we're all different psychosocial science experiments, and you may see something totally different there. And it looks like, oh my gosh, that looks like moss, and we have the moss agate as our crystal. So let's see what that has to tell us. And the living altar splits the reading into 3 parts: the witch's wheel correspondence, and the spell, and guiding messages. So I invite you to settle in for that and to come back as many times as you need to revisit. So you can repeat the spell 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different times, 27 different times, whatever resonates with you, to help it integrate, to help you embody it, to help activate it. Also, so maybe you can check out witches' wheels, check out a bunch of different witches' wheels and create your own if you haven't done that already, to help this witches' wheel correspondence integrate with you even more. And also the guiding messages. You may choose to journal about it. So there's so much you can do with this. It's super fun. Promise. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like there's 10 words associated with the witch's wheel correspondence. So here we go. Air, spring, east, sunrise, childhood, first quarter moon, inspiration, creativity, intention, and choice. And the first quarter moon is jumping out at me. So you may come back at the first quarter moon and see how all of this has played out or integrated, or where you are in the process of playing this out. And of course, I invite you to make this all your own, right? Don't let me tell you what to do. That would be tyranny. So the spell. I nourish my life with childlike curiosity and wonder. I believe in myself, my potential, and the kindness of circumstance. I call upon the guidance of spirit to keep me safe as I embrace and explore my place in the order of things. Through the prayerful act of play, my trust and faith in myself and others are renewed. I am the seed of the ancestors, growing towards flowering. My heart is buoyant with the promise of my purpose being fulfilled. My goals are illuminated. My way is clear. Such a super sweet spell. I love this spell. And that prayerful act of play is jumping out at me, especially as we are playing through our loss and trauma to live life worth living. And we have chosen to step on this healing path. And how do you cope with loss that is so challenging, so traumatic, so painful? Play, play, play. That's the way, right? I mean, of course, there are other ways, but play is fun. And loss is so challenging. How do you have fun with loss? You play through it. And that's not to say we're sweeping it under the carpet. Not at all. You're owning it. You're owning your loss. You're owning your trauma, and you're healing through it. And you're breaking the chains of the transgenerational traumas. And you fill in the blank. And thank you so much for being so strong and so courageous and so playful. And what else I love about this spell is, through this prayerful act of play, our trust and faith in ourselves and in others are renewed. And for orphans and adoptees and for Romani, that is huge, because our trust and faith have so often been dashed by the adoption fairy tales, the way those play out within individuals and across cultures, and the gypsy myths and the way those play out. And So to have our trust and faith renewed is so beautiful after everything that we've been through. And so I really appreciate this spell and this work of the living altar and Kiki and Ilva. Thank you so much. And it's super sweet that we are the seed of the ancestors. Like, our ancestors have been through it. They did what they could to survive the oppression. And now we're taking it steps further and honoring them and giving them gratitude and liberating ourselves. And they're enjoying that success as well. And that's super sweet. So the guiding messages: you've changed. Continue forward. The past is the past, retreating from prominence. The present is the only thing that is. The future shines with hope. Powerful, right? Especially for those orphans and adoptees who have come out of the fog and you've been dismantling the adoption fairy tales. You've changed. You've really changed. You used to be in this position where you just had to take this social contract that really wasn't working for you, and you had to act a certain way that really wasn't you. You had to pretend like you didn't have this whole life before you met your adoptive family, before you came into your new adoptive nation, if you were an international adoptee. And if you've been coming out of the fog, or if you're coming out of the fog, or if you've come out of the fog, you have changed. You're liberated. You're owning your own truth now. You're proud of your heritage. You're able to say that out loud and proud. And you're not the same as you were when you had to live pretending like you didn't have that in you, like you didn't have a certain heritage, or like you weren't even adopted. Like, oh, you're just like our own. Right? Now that you've stopped pretending like that's actually true. I know that came across wrong. Please forgive me. And perhaps you can read between those lines and understand what I'm trying to communicate. And maybe you put some in the comments there to help me along, right? Nobody's perfect. Life's for learning to tolerate, starting with self. And careful with the tricky flip side of that card. She'll never learn. Off with the head. So you've really changed. And thank you for continuing forward and enjoying the present moment for the present that it is, and for doing the work that you've been doing to dismantle the old earth and to rebuild a new earth. Heartily, we are grateful, and I'm sending you big hugs for all the work that you have done, and the heartbreak that you've been through, and just the tremendous noble work that you have done to put yourself back together again as the person you truly are, as your authentic self. Thank you so much. I'm loving you from here to there, and that is all I am seeing for you in this reading. Thank you so much for helping breathe life into adoption spirit magic. Heartily, we are grateful. Until next time, ciao for now. I love you all.